Welcome back to Check the Pulse. Today, as usual, I'm grateful and honored to have Mr. Mark Prata on the podcast. Welcome.
All right. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
I'm excited to have you. I'm ready to rock into this. Before we do, like, subscribe, do your thing. I say this at the end, and I feel like you guys don't listen. So I'm saying it now. Like, subscribe, share. If you want to be on the podcast, also reach out to me. That's what he did. He literally DM'd me, and here we are. So don't be afraid, guys. I'm open to everybody. But Mark, for those that don't know you and why I have you on, would you like to explain yourself a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty much I'm here because I want to shed some love. I want to share some love to the world, and I want people to, hopefully I can inspire even just one of you today. A little bit about me. I was a professional athlete as a teenager. I competed professionally in BMX and mountain biking. I got to travel all over Canada and the US, which was pretty cool in high school. And then I I started a couple small businesses. Then I opened up a tattoo studio. I hit international success. I had everything you could imagine. and then a lot of stress. And I built up a pretty brutal experience with anxiety and depression and panic disorder, and kind of like came crashing down. And then I spent the last 10 years building it all back up. I even had a suicide attempt and just really hit rock bottom. And it was the best, worst thing that had ever happened to me. And the reason I'm here is I want to show that build and the resilience and the path that I took. And I've inspired so many already, and I would love to inspire more. It's been a big process. Now I'm here. I'm building a real estate company with my wife. We're building it astronomically fast and helping a lot of people. So I love helping people, and I'm here to try to help some more people.
I love that. Well, keyword, helping people. That's why we align, because I love doing that. He's always of service. We had a call yesterday, and I was just like, he gets it. Like, he gets what I believe is human nature, which is to show love and service others in a good way and not out of hatred. And the best way to do that is through your experiences and, creating that impact. So let's dive into your journey, because I know it's a loaded one, but we'll get some points across here. So let's start. BMX biker, super, super cool. Like, you typically hear people say athletes, it's like soccer, basketball, whatever. BMX biker, that's sick to me. I always wanted to do it. I put pegs on my bike, and then I could never do anything past stand on them.
Have your friends stand on
it?
Yeah.
I would be like, okay. And then we would like wobble a bit, and I'm like, all right, we're so cool.
Right?
And it wasn't even a BMX bike. I bought the pegs to put on another bike it just didn't work. Anyways, those were my dreams. They got crushed. So super neat. And then tattoo studio, also really awesome. Can you drop the name of the studio or no?
Yeah, Toronto Inc. Yeah.
Oh, sick. That's so sick. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I love the tattoo side of things. Successful businesses, you get a burnout and you get a crash. Now, I think this is very common for a lot of entrepreneurs in the sense of, working really hard, going 25/7, not even 24/7 to get their businesses to a certain level of success. And then they crash and they burn. Looking back on that experience, is there anything you think you could have done to prevent that crash? Or like, if you had to relive it, like that you could, like, advice you could give to someone else in that situation?
That's a fantastic question, actually. One thing I would do is, and something I live by now, is we're in such a rush to get somewhere that we don't know what we're in a rush to get there, because as soon as you get there, it's pretty lonely. Right. From experience, I hit my tattoo business. I opened it in a recession, so it was hard in 2007, and I built it up. Then I got all over TV. I was on I won a reality show. I was on a bunch of reality shows. I got in movies. I got hit superstardom in 2009, 2010. Yeah. And then my tattoo business grew. I had people wanting to work for me, and I grew super fast. I made a ton of money for a kid, right? I would have been like 25 years old.
Yeah, you're young.
And I wanted to ride that wagon so hard. I don't even know why.
Yeah.
And I didn't enjoy any of it. And it was like money came in, I spent it so fast buying things I couldn't afford, cars I couldn't afford, houses I couldn't afford, literally maxing out whatever I could, because I'm like, oh, this is going to be here forever. And I have a rose tattooed on my hand, stop and smell the roses. I never did that. I just kept going. And the grind is real, and we all have to have a grind. If you want to be successful, you have to grind. But you gotta enjoy it. Tony Robbins says it. be grateful every day. He's grateful.
Yeah.
We have to do that. And that's something that I live by now. And I really hope that everybody just takes a minute, sits in their car, puts on their favorite song and says, I bought this car.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
It's true.
that's, yeah, definitely something I would work on.
And I think it's not even just that. I think that's a massive point, because that's not only entrepreneurs. I think everybody in life takes life so seriously and moves so fast, whether you have your own business or you don't, that we are forgetful of those little things. I'm here, I'm in a studio, I'm grateful to be sitting here with you. Like, you know, I had clean water today, I had a roof over my head. Like, I know it sounds so cliche, but it's so true. Like, there's so many people in the world that don't have that. Now you go one step further into business, you know, looking at your, like, let's say financial reports. Wow, I'm grateful I had such a positive year. Our problem is we see, let's say we made 100K this year, next year it's 2, and then 3, and then 4. So you're living life in a chase. And I feel like that contributes a lot to the mental health side of it, because you're never happy, because you're always moving. And someone said to me once, like, you know, if you don't enjoy the journey, when you get to your destination, you're not going to be happy. It's really that gap in between that makes you enjoy getting to the end mark. And that aligns a lot now in my head with what you just said. And then I think for context for viewers as well, when you say crash, like, okay, anxiety, depression, you don't have to go like too deep into it, but like just a little glimpse so they can see how you were on such a high, but then literally hit such a low.
So, as the ladder was climbing and business is going crazy, I'm traveling a ton, you know, I got sixth most successful shop in the world. Like, I started getting international success, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, my ego's going up.
For sure.
I think I'm on top of the world. I'm a kid, you know, and I'm like, heck yeah, man, right?
Yeah.
And then, so where it all started was, one, I was just piling on, overdoing it. And then the second thing, somebody had stole my business name. I had to sue them. And then I didn't know how it worked. You know, I'm listening to my dad, sue them, take them for everything. And the only people that win is the lawyers, right? Like, the lawsuit just got so expensive. I couldn't afford it. There goes all the money I've worked so hard to save. And then I got a huge tax bill at the end of the year. I had to stop the lawsuit because I couldn't afford to go any further. And then at that point, it would have been, as soon as I got my tax bill the next year, I said to my wife, I'm like, honey, we can't afford the lawyer bill. We can't afford our tax bill. We can't afford our life. We have to sell everything. Wow. So I went from a 7 Series Beamer to a $3,000 Dodge Caliber with roll-up windows. Like, that's, like, we lost our house, like, everything. Yeah. Everything had to go. And at that point, I felt like I failed. I'm like, I have a baby that's coming. My wife had just told me she's pregnant. Like, everything's changed. And it was at that point when I started getting anxiety. I started getting panic attacks. And I didn't know what it was, so I stopped fluffing it off. I started sheltering myself down. I became kind of mean. Yeah. I was not seeing my friends. And then there was just this one day, I thought I was having a heart attack. We were looking for a daycare for our newborn because we couldn't afford to live. Yeah. So we had to try to find them in a daycare so my wife could work. And I collapsed. I passed out on the floor. And thankfully, it was a panic attack. I thought it was a heart attack. We had to call an ambulance. And then I started getting them all the time. I ended up with what was called agoraphobia. So I went from being a professional athlete, the most outgoing person in the world, to not being able to leave my house. Wow. And that took me about a year. I couldn't go to restaurants. I couldn't go to anything. I don't even know how my wife's still with me at this point.
It's real.
And yeah, like, yeah, so much love there. So much love there. So as I literally lost everything, I lost my reason to live. Yeah. So I called around to insurance companies, and I got a life insurance policy. And if you don't know this, you can get policies that will cover suicide. Oh, wow. So I got a policy that had a 2-year expiration for suicide, and I put in my Google Calendar on my phone, one day after 2 years, today's the day. Wow. Today's the day you're free. That's what it said. And I remember that morning, 2 years later, I got out of the agoraphobia. I could slowly get life back a little bit. I wasn't okay. Yeah. And you know, my son was whatever, a few years older then and whatever. And I literally that day I saw the message in my calendar in the morning, and then I was driving home, and I was on Lake Ridge Road coming home, and whatever reason, I went into oncoming traffic. I drove 140 kilometers an hour, dead straight out of car, and I'm like, it was so beautiful. I felt so free, and I'm like, my family's gonna be okay. Release me of this demon. And for whatever reason, it's God, it's something, whatever it was, a mirage. I saw a kid in the middle seat of the car I was going 140 kilometers an hour at. And it was like, I can't do this.
100%, yeah.
And so I pulled over, I spun out, I ended up in a ditch, and I sat there and cried for about an hour, and then I got help. And it was like, right to the mental institution, Ontario Shores, let's go. Something's wrong. And that was the best day of my life.
Wow. So you checked yourself in?
I checked myself in. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing.
And it was that day that I realized I need to live. I need to figure out how to get through this. I need to make sure my kids don't have the suffering of mental illness that I had, that they're equipped with a toolbox.
Right.
And then that's where everything began. I started healing. And then I was reading so many books. I was learning about psychology, neurology. I was learning all these different things, working with therapists. And as I started healing and I created core values and my life got better, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Let's keep this momentum going. What if I added this to my business? What if I became a leader? And so I started reading books on leadership, getting coaches, business coaches, working with people, networking. Okay, let me fix my business. Holy crap, it exploded. People wanted to work for me. I went from 2 employees to 12. Then it's like, what else can I do? Let me learn more about buying businesses. So then I bought a printing company. I spent $8,000 on it, and then I sold it for 6x, a couple months later, right? And it's doing amazing. So I'm like, okay, this is momentum. I'm like buying properties and flipping them with my wife. But what really changed, I stopped caring about money completely. I started caring about fulfillment and joy. I cared about experience and just talking to people and just offering something authentic, because I'm a little emotional talking about it, but just going out for dinner, I couldn't do that a few years ago. And you're like, I want to be here. That waitress or that waiter that dresses really nice and serves me, thank you for taking your time to put your makeup on, to treat me with respect and be here, because just a few years ago I couldn't be there, right? And now my purpose is grow, keep growing this momentum, be a role model to my kids. And there is so many people that are stuck where I was and don't know how to get out of it. And I want to help every single one of them.
For sure. And I think, obviously, I would call that like a success story, right? In the sense where you came out of it. And like you said, there's a lot of people that are stuck and they just don't have the guidance. They don't know where to look. They just feel like that's it. It's a dead end. Nobody wants to help me because I have a problem. I find that's a common like mental mindset that people have when they're that low. And now when I talk to people I know that kind of suffer from similar situations, I'll say the same thing. Like, those around you love you and care about you. You don't see it when you're in that moment because you feel like you're doing them wrong. You're putting your burdens on them. You have a problem, but they do want to help you. And if it's not them, then it's finding someone that was in your situation, Exhibit A, that does want to help you because they can literally relate to you like toe to toe. They fully understand you. They can hear you out. No one will understand that situation as well as someone that's been in it. So, right? Like, someone can come to me and I can be like, okay, I kind of get it. I can only imagine. I'll say that a lot. I can only imagine how that feels. You can literally be like, dude, I get you. I know where you're coming from. I was there. I was worse than where you were. I'm an example, though, that you can get out of it. And I think that's such an important message. And I love the fact that you came out of it and now you also want to help people through that. So just now to backtrack a little bit. So you came out of, like, what would it be? Like, I guess, rehab in a way?
So I went in, they just recommended, like, honestly, I was very surprised at the lack of care. They were like, well, you identified that you didn't want to do that to yourself. So here's a therapist's number. We're going to set you up with them. And then they doped me up on a ton of medication. I went down that path for a while and then had to cycle out of that and then build, right? So the system, I don't really believe in, to be honest. I believe in coaches, big time. I believe in therapists, and I believe in qualified professional help. It's just hard to find the right one. So you need to be okay to not want to work with somebody.
Yeah.
Like,
like
we don't align.
100%. It's like, we don't align. Thank you so much. Move on to the next.
Yes,
For sure.
yes.
That's honestly doesn't shock me. I have a whole beef with the healthcare system, so
Oh.
that doesn't shock me at all. But okay, so you went in, they identify that, you basically leave with them just handing you a bunch of stuff and information. But you had no money. So now we kind of jumped there, and you had 2 employees, now you were to 10. So in that gap, what changed? You got into real estate, you got your license. Like, so where did you start now that flip of income come in? Because now your priority wasn't money anymore. It was joy and happiness. But obviously you still need to make money to live. So what was that mindset like?
So when we lost everything, and then so we sold our house, right? We did the nice thing. We bought the wicked cars. We bought the wicked house. Like, we bought a sick house. Like, everything was wicked. And then when we lost everything, we had to take a conservative approach.
Right.
Thankfully, losing everything means we sell our house and there's still some equity in it.
Right.
So we just drastically changed our lifestyle, going from a 7 Series Beamer to a $3,000 Dodge Caliber with a roll-up window. We went in such a conservative route that I had said to my wife, we can't have this kind of stress. We need to live so easy that everything is fine, because I can't work like this anymore. And she wasn't happy doing her job. So she's like, she always wanted to be interior designer. And we had flipped a couple of properties before that. So she's like, I'm going to go to real estate school. So we were like, okay, we'll take a few funds from the sale of our house. We'll pay for real estate school. I need therapy. Bad. So I'll put a little bit away for therapy. And then we're just going to work enough to still have time. Like, I'm not working 12-hour days anymore. Right. I'm going to work on me. Right. And she was good with that. So she's like, I'm going to get into this field. I'm doing enough to build. And I told her that, I'm like, I just want to like make my employees want to work there too. Like, I never lost my business through all of this. Right. I had a really good manager that actually worked for me for free for a bit when he knew I was going through this. And he's like, dude, and I have so much love and respect for that guy. And he's like, dude, don't worry about it. He's like, I'll work for a few weeks for free. You figure you out. And then that was when I started building. I said to my wife, I need to be a better boss. I need to liven the place up. I need to make people want to work here. And then when I started changing that, then it starts gravitating. They're like, oh man, I love my job. And then other artists are saying, oh, I want to work there. You know, and then I'm just jacking people up all day. I literally become a mini version of Tony Robbins, right? And then I start like jacking things up at home, and I'm making my wife feel better as I'm starting to heal, right? So as we weren't making nearly as much money, we completely changed our lifestyle. We didn't really go out. We only did things that were free. So like Rib Fest would come. We love live music. So we would bring a water bottle and go listen to live music. We wouldn't buy ribs. We would just sit there, right? We would go to all the free like outdoor skating or wherever, right? We would drive places and do things, but we just tried to like minimize our lifestyle to live fulfilled, as opposed to spend a bunch of money to kind of keep up with somebody we can't, right? That's where that would have circled into. Sorry, there's so many things.
It's okay. No, you're
like,
good. You're good.
Yeah.
But that's, that takes a lot, because some people also will have such an ego when it comes to stuff like that. Like, oh, I drove a 7 Series Beamer. Now I got to drive like whatever the car is. Yes, maybe you didn't have a choice, but you also accepted the fact that you didn't have a choice. Some people won't accept it. They'll still try to fight it and still try to drive the 7 Series Beamer and then end up in debt and missed payments and all these things, when it's like, but then at that point, who are you doing it for? Are you doing it for society, or are you doing it for yourself? Because it's definitely not for yourself, because it's causing you now triple the stress to keep your flex. And I think that's very admirable of you. Like, that not only were you on the same page, so was your wife, and now you raise your kids to be simple and to enjoy life for what it is. Be in nature, and enjoy the simple things of life that gets totally forgotten. I'm from Vaughan, in an area like Vaughan, where it's, name brands, high-end cars, big homes. And a lot of people, when I worked in the bank, I realized this real fast. A lot of people are living a lifestyle they cannot maintain, and they're in debt for their lifestyle. And it's like, if everyone just had the confidence and lessen their ego to do what you did, I feel in general, everyone would be happier. A lot of anger that comes out from somebody else is just them going through their own story in life, and then it gets projected because they're all fed up. You know, even you were saying at one point in your story, you're really angry, but it's
All the
because
time.
internally you were compressing so many things. And that happens with so many people. So I think it's, having that self-awareness and awareness of your situation. It's like, hey, okay, you know what? Instead of putting myself through the turmoil, what can we change? And whatever we change is okay, as long as you and your partner, obviously you had your wife,
Yep.
are aligned with it. And shout out to her. It seems like she was a complete real one through this
Yeah.
whole journey for you as well.
My wife's a rock star. I have so much respect for her.
Yeah.
One of the biggest changing point in my healing recovery was I switched my life to live value based.
Mhm.
So I have 8 values, but I have 3 core values. And my 3 core values are, number 1 is be for myself.
Yep.
So I have to take care of myself,
Yeah.
my mind, body, my soul, right? And then number 2 is my family. So if I can't take care of myself, I can't take care of my family. A lot of people put family first.
Yeah.
You can't, right?
Yeah.
Most tattoos I would see family first.
Yeah,
right?
true. Yeah,
So
true.
you can't. You
You're
can't.
like, no.
Yeah, when I was mentally unstable, I can't be there for my family. So me is always first, right? And then my family, and then will be my business, and then we'll go my other one. So before I do anything, if you said to me, "Hey, Mark, let's go out and play some golf this
Yeah.
weekend," I would do a quick mental check
Okay.
before I say yes to anything. Have I taken care of myself? Am I okay to go out on Saturday? Have I done a few things for myself this week? Am I good, or do I need that time?
Yeah.
And then I go number 2. Okay, let me actually, hey, Kristina, great. I'm just going to get back to you in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I'll go to my kids. Hey, is there any way you need me to show up for you right now? Is there anything you're struggling with? Or is there any time you want to spend with me that's important to you?
Yeah.
Or can daddy go and play golf on Saturday? And they're like, no, dad, I'm good. Oh, dad, I need your help with this school project or whatever. Okay, hey, Christine, I can't go. Right? So family. Then I'll do a quick check in my business. I'll call my marketing manager. I'll call my assistant, whatever it is. Hey, is there anything that needs my attention? I'm going to take Saturday off. No, we're good to go. So now when I go golfing with you on Saturday, you're getting all of me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what you want.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
You want to golf with me,
yeah,
sure.
not quarter of you.
Yeah, but you want to have a good time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Let's smile, let's have a good time. If I'm thinking business, or I'm thinking, my grandma just died in my head, you're not, go with somebody else. You have a better time, right?
Yeah.
So that mental checklist, those 3 values, and just fully living value based,
Yeah.
completely changed my life. And then we started structuring things. So my wife and I would say about 10 years now, we do every single week, non-negotiable. We sit down, we have a meeting.
Okay.
So we have this couch in our house. It's a blue couch that nobody goes on, just us. And it's like, hey man, how have I showed up for you?
I love that.
Is there any way that I can help you more, or anything I can do to make your life easier? Right?
Yeah.
So we have our roles in the family, but there's times where my wife's like, you know what? I'll be honest. I've been making lunches for 5 years. I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
You want me to do it this week? She's like, maybe a few days. And I'm
Nice.
like, yeah, no worries. I got that. Right.
Yeah.
And it could be anything. It could be like sexual. It
Yeah.
could be like just having like fulfillment. It could just be like, hey, I need a day to myself.
Yeah.
Right. And when we can say it, or I don't appreciate the way you talked to me 3 days ago.
Yeah.
So you're not in the heat of the moment, and you can be, oh my God, I'm so sorry I talked to you like that. I didn't even realize it,
Yeah.
And we can really be on page and grow together. And it's nice because we just air it all out right
Yeah.
there. We know that it's coming, and you're not in a bad mood. So you can address anything, right?
For sure. So now, because you said it's once a week, what if that week, is it a set day every week?
We'll try to
Okay.
we try to either do it on Sunday or Monday.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes it changes, and then it'll be like, hey, we didn't have our blue couch talk. That's what we call it.
Oh,
Hey,
that's
we didn't have
cool.
the blue couch talk, and it's Wednesday. It's like, I have a few things I wanted to discuss.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
love that though, because it first of all, they say communication is the key to anything. So, and it's like, that's not only communication, it's in-depth, proper communication, because we're human. Naturally, we're going to explode. You get into arguments. Maybe we think we're doing well for the other person, and we may not be. So I think conversations like that are so important. I think sometimes they get overlooked in relationships. Like, oh, why do we need this talk? We're fine. And it's like, are you though? But I think a lot of that too also comes from therapy, because in therapy, you learn how to ask the other person, how can I show up for you? You learn your needs and your wants and how to communicate those. And a lot of times growing up, depending the household you grew up in or the style of parenting your parents had, you didn't always get a voice as a kid, or you didn't always weren't taught how to communicate, or maybe your dad held a certain role and your mom held a certain role. So I think it's nice to now your kids are also seeing the way you're living value-based and starting to understand, okay, he asks me, is there anything you need from me? Or my mom asked me, is there anything you need from me? That's so important. I tell people all the time, kids are sponges. And even when you think they're not paying attention, they are.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
For context, how old are your kids?
13 going on 14 in a month, and then the other one's almost 11.
Nice. So they're at a good age too, where they're really going to start to grasp this.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
so one of the things that I through all of this growth, kind of circling back a little bit, I decided to build everything from the ground up. So I never graduated high school. I lived the rock star life, riding bikes and traveling like crazy. Yeah. And then I'm seeing my children struggle as I was transferring into the real estate industry, kind of joining my wife. I've built quite a few businesses. I know how to build businesses. It's not that hard. You just need to know the industry you're building in, right? So I'm like, okay, let me learn more about this industry. There was a few areas my wife was struggling. Let me see if I can help her build systems to grow that business a little bit better. And then as I'm building this, I'm like, this is a story for my kids.
Yeah.
Let me show them, right? And then it's like, my wife's like, why don't you get your real estate license? You know everything. You have a great story and you love helping people. Like, you'd be a great addition to the team. I'm like, well, I never even graduated high school. How am I going to go to college?
Yeah.
And she said to me, she's like, so go to high school. And I'm like, you got me? And she's like, I got you, babe. Yeah. And I'm like, again, my wife.
Yeah, for real,
right?
rock star.
Yeah. So I did it. I went to adult education, and it's like, let me figure it out. And it's funny.
Wait, so hold on.
Yeah.
Did you actually have to go back into high school? Like, you were in a class with like 15-year-olds.
So no, it's adult education.
Okay,
so
I was gonna say, okay.
Your youngest person will be 21.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then you're literally doing high school again, right?
And you were how old?
Your transcript.
For
a few years ago, I would have been like 39.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, so I'm like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
So I go back to school.
Yeah.
And the second week, I was taking math because they told me I could get through that one the fastest. Yeah. So I wanted to take classes I could get through the fastest, but they were not the easiest, right? Art was like a 6-month program. Yeah. Math, you could do it in 2 months or something, right? So I'm like, okay. It was the second week. I literally had a full down breakdown. I was bawling. I was doing Pythagorean theory.
Oh my God.
And I'm 39 years old. And I'm sitting in my son's room because I'm trying to just get away from life. And I'm studying, and I literally just start crying. And I'm like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
And it was, my son walked into his room, and he's like, are you crying? And I'm like, there's a teaching moment.
Yes.
And I went and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, dude, I am.
Yeah.
And he's like, what? And I'm like, I respect you. You know those times when you come home and you can't figure out your homework? I respect you, and I'm sorry I didn't see it on your side of things. Yeah. 'Cause I was being a dad. Come on, man. What, you didn't pay attention
100%.
In class, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, you know what? I need help. I'm going to get a tutor. Wow. So I hired a tutor, right? And then I sat down with the tutor to show my kids, hey, we put you in tutoring. Yeah. We're doing this to you. Yeah. I'm going to do it too.
I like that.
Right? So I rocked it. I went to the tutor. We got along amazing. Yeah. Crushed it. Got 96% in my final exam. So I was like, yo, I can do anything. Yeah. Right? Like, I beat mental health. I built my tattoo shop. I sold my tattoo shop. I bought 7 properties. I flipped them. I started 4 other companies, sold them. One not so well, but I learned a lot from that one, right? And then I'm like, I'm unstoppable. Yeah. I know that I am. Yeah. As long as I have purpose, which is very strong, I can do anything. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go to real estate school. I'm gonna do this. It's at Humber College. It's a 2-year program. Yeah. And so I started Googling how fast can you get through it. And then I'm like, all right, I better stop and smell the roses. Yeah. and stopped thinking about how fast to get through it. I killed it in 4 months.
Wow.
And all of my exams were 95%, 98%, 97%. So I'm like, I I was dyslexic. I could barely read. So I'm like, I taught myself how to read, right? I
Yeah.
taught myself how to do it all. What I would do is I'd listen to audiobooks and then read the book in front of
Right,
me,
yeah.
and I would just learn to keep pace.
Wow.
And so I'm like, okay, this is coming, right? Like, I was a professional athlete. I know if I try that one trick 7,000 times, I'm
Yeah.
going to get really damn good at it.
Yeah.
So let me just take that mentality and apply it to the schoolwork, to this business, to raising my children, to having a relationship with my wife, to selling homes, to whatever it is. I'll just take the same thing and I'll just do it 7,000 times, and I'm going to be amazing at it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to stop.
Right.
And I'm going to enjoy the process. So it was like, okay, I did this. I said to my wife, I'm like, whoa, like, I'm done. What's next? And she's like, enjoy it. And I'm like, no, I'm going to keep writing this. So then I went to Harvard. So I went to master negotiations class. I flew down to Boston.
Yeah.
And I'm like, my wife's like, really? And I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
let's do this, man.
Yeah.
So I did. I went down there and I got into a room with, like, it was business executive learning.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a ton of CEOs, a ton of people where I kind of like sold a tattoo shop, and I was like, rock and roll BMX dude, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, do I even fit in here? Did the same thing. I would go to class all day, go home, study all night. Everybody's going to restaurants and all that stuff. Yeah. I won every single negotiation in the entire class, and I got my name on the top of the leaderboard for every negotiation through the thing. And then where the kicker was, the professor,
Yeah.
the head professor, her family lives in Scarborough.
Right.
And she goes, hey, can I talk to you at the end of class? I said, absolutely. And she pulls me aside and goes, I just want to say, you were a superstar. You did so well, and you've been on the board the whole week. Yeah. You should be really proud of yourself. But my mom wants to sell her house. And I know that you're in real estate. I know you just got into real estate, but I know you're going to do amazing. Wow. Would you be interested in taking this project on? And it was like, just work a little bit harder than everybody else, and it's going to show the results, right?
Yeah, for sure. So just quickly for Harvard, how did that work? You had to apply to get into that class? Is it the standard process or no?
So it's expensive. So
for sure,
you pay the money. Then there is an interview process. So they just get you to list out your credentials, a little bit about you. They do a little bit of research. I had a quick phone call, and then they were like, yeah, okay, you fit in. So I don't think they're going to let anybody in.
Fair.
But I also don't think it's like super strict.
Gotcha. Okay.
It is like business executive learning. So you'll have a lot of people that are, vice presidents trying to go for a CEO role, stuff like that, where they're just getting they have leadership programs, negotiation.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So what's your why? What's your why? Like, because you go, and when you go, you go, and you get it done. But like now, obviously, you're very value driven, which is amazing. But what's your why?
So I would say my purpose is stronger than my why.
Okay. So what's your purpose?
My purpose is there's a lot of scared people, and I'm talking the burliest of them. Yeah. Because I've got to have conversations with bikers, with people that are like, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of hurt. And I think that people don't know how to just get past that. And I think a lot of people are stuck, because I was. Yeah. And the more I've talked about my story, I've got to personally help quite a number of people already. Yeah. And it's like, man, this is surfacing so much more. So at first my why was I want to do this so that my children don't suffer. Right. And now I'm like, there's a lot of people suffering. So my purpose is to just share a light. I'm not a therapist. I don't have that degree. I can't tell you how to fix your life, but I can show you what I'm doing in mine. And if anything can resonate, I was a dropout, man. I rode bikes. I could barely read. Yeah. I had a bad attitude. I wasn't a bad kid. I just had a bad attitude, and I was a class clown. Yeah. And go from that to I became an artist because I was like, anarchy, man. Screw the world. Screw the government. You don't need anything. Like, you don't need a real job. To, building businesses, selling them, like I had the opportunity to retire 2 years ago. Like instead we're reinvesting it all into our real estate company. But, building, building and helping people and sharing light is so valuable. And I will do this till the day I die. There is no retirement for me. I'm going to do this till I'm 103. And if I can share, like, I know I've personally helped 10 people that I can think of at the top of my head, but man, if I can help one more and make it 11, or if I can make 5,000, that's my purpose. And I'm going to, and I hope that my kids see this and they want to do that as well.
For sure. Well, that's beautiful, first of all. And I think you could definitely do that. Like, your story's super impactful. So 100%, I have no doubt about that. You've literally achieved everything you said you're going to achieve, you know? And that's a special characteristic. Not everyone can do that. It takes a special kind of guy or person. So yeah, that was like really, that was good. Caught me off track.
Yeah, no worries.
What was I was going to ask you something though.
I'm going to change your life. No.
No, I was like, holy,
I got
like,
you.
That was like a Tony Robbins speech.
Yeah.
But would you talk on like stages? Like,
if
you had the
100%.
opportunity?
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
I actually just made a connection with a gentleman. So I'm in a unique position right now. So the real estate tie-in, where that's working for me is we, had the wicked house right beside the lake in the bluffs, to the not so great house, having to move to the suburbs, to then realizing like we love mountain biking, we love nature, we like adventure and exploring, to like I'm okay to commute to get a house right beside the forest.
Right.
And then we made that sacrifice, and I commuted for 7 years, and I commuted with a smile, because I knew what I was coming home to. Right. And this is something that I want to share beyond in real estate. Real estate's the biggest investment of anyone's life. And you hear a lot, like, I just want to get in the market, or I can't wait to get that bigger house. And it's like, why don't you just tone it back? And this is advice I give to my clients. It doesn't make my commission check any bigger. It actually usually makes it smaller. But I'm like, have you thought of, you told me you love beach volleyball, you love golf, you love mountain biking, you love whatever else it is. Well, being where you guys are looking, I know it's right beside work. That's not offering you any of the things you just told me light you right up. Just saying, what if we looked here? We'll look at both. What if you looked here? It's 300 grand cheaper than there. And you're going to get to do all those things that light you up. Yes, you're going to have a commute, but I did it. And I did it with a smile. I listened to audiobook every single day. So I was burning through a book a week. I'm like, this is great. I'm becoming a better person. I get an hour to myself. And then I'm at home where I'm living the most fulfilled life ever. Right. So it was like, for me, it was so easy. And when you get to shine that light on people, people are like, man, I think a lot of people just forget about, like, this is what makes me fulfilled. Right.
Sure.
Like,
well, because I think the main thing when people buy a home is like, okay, where's kids' school, if they have kids? And where's work? And how can I commute to work the fastest? Their hobbies and what actually fuels them internally is always put to the side. It's like, I can figure that out. I'll go on the weekend or whatever. So the fact that you have those conversations that allows them to say, hey, no, this is what fuels you. Put it first a little bit. You can make that commute to work. Realistically, a lot of people, you ask them if they love what they're doing, they don't. They're doing it for a paycheck. So it's like, be close then to what actually makes you happy. Is it going to be opening your front door and hearing the birds chirp and not having neighbors up your ass, like just that peace? Does that make you happy? Because then guess what? You're going to get into your car very peacefully. So that commute now is not so stressed. So I think that's a big shout out to you for that. It's really putting that client first and that client experience and understanding their lifestyle, what they want versus what they need. That's a big difference as well.
Kristina, honestly, like, we only have so much time.
For sure.
But in my healing journey, I was literally looking for anything to save me. Right. I went on like weird diets. I did I would go to yoga studios. I'd pray under the sun. I would do like moon ceremonies. I moved in with monks for 4 days.
That's so cool.
I did silent retreats. Anything that like, okay, Google said this could probably heal me. I'm gonna try it, right? And I tried everything under the sun, and nothing worked until I got a purpose, and I decided I want to change for whatever reason it is to me. And I'm gonna prove to myself or to sometimes your purpose could just be your girlfriend in high school said you're going to be nothing, right? Or some guy that you looked up to was like, hey, man, you know, you're this,
Yeah.
right? You just need something.
Yeah.
And you take that and you hold it so strong and so tight and you run with it.
Yeah.
You will be everything.
For sure.
And if you can just wake up every morning and be like, this is why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
It's not hard, right?
Yeah.
And you know, I have a lot to say about people that do jobs that they don't like.
Yeah.
You know, you could find a job that pays you less somewhere and then just move somewhere cheaper and you end up in the same situation. So that to me, but if you want to stay in the job you really don't like, if you're working to live instead of you're living to work instead of working to live, right?
Yeah.
So you have to buy the house beside work that gives you unfulfilled life. What are you doing? Yeah. Right? Like I will tell you firsthand experience. I had my commute on the worst days was an hour and 10 minutes, on the best days 45 minutes. Wow. And when I would get in my car, I'd put on a podcast or an audiobook, and I would drive home and I would have the biggest smile because I'm like, I'm going mountain biking tonight, 5 minutes from my house, or we're going to hike in the forest, or, you know, just so many different things, right? Yeah. And one of the biggest things in my healing journey, and if you like audiobooks or you podcast, the biggest thing you should do is become hyper aware of yourself, right? Yeah. And if you can be hyper aware of yourself, so let's say you had a conversation with somebody and you notice sensations in you and you're like, man, I don't like confrontation. Right. Get an audiobook on it. How to strengthen my ability to be resilient against confrontation. Wow. And you'll find 5 books on it. Yeah. You got an hour drive each way. In 1 week, so average book's about 8 hours. Yeah. 1 week, you'll burn through 1 book. So you'll pick up, I believe in every book, you'll pick up 2 or 3 things that'll change your life. Yep. So you pick up 2 books on that. You learn 6 things. You work on those 6 things for the next 2 weeks. And in 1 month, you're going to be able to handle confrontation. Yeah. And then as you're handling confrontation, you're going to notice something else. I talk too much. Yeah. Okay, let me get a book on talking too much. Yeah. Right? So I've read 256 books. Wow. I looked it up today because I wanted to have that number for you when you came in. Yeah. I was like, yeah, I want to say it. So yeah, I've read or audiobook 256 books. Wow. And every single one of them has, so that's been 5 years. Yeah. And it's been like, let me do better at this. So like for me, it started with emotional intelligence. I was a very reactive person. Right. And I'm like, okay, I don't like this about myself. And then as I was learning emotional intelligence, I was like, wow, I talk too much when I get nervous. Yeah. Or I do these things. Okay, well, how do you not, you know, how do you speak less? Yeah. Say more, speak less, right? Yeah. Meaning like talk with intention. Right. Okay, well, now I notice I can talk with intention, but I talk like this. Okay, how do I speak with confidence, right? And like, there's 3 months. Yeah. But in 3 months, I've created tools to make myself better. Yeah. In 1 year, I've changed without having to really try because I've only had to change one thing. Your golf swing, right? You go to a pro. Yeah. If they give you 15 things, you're not going to do any of them. Yeah, 100%. But they just say, hey, you know, swing your hip a little more and you work on that one thing, your swing's going to get 5 yards better. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So you make your personality just 1 inch better. Yeah. In 1 year, you're a new person and you don't even really realize it yet. In 5 years, you're going to look back and go, 256 books. Where the hell did this person come from? Yeah. I can't even believe I'm here. Yeah, right? For sure. That's a big number. Holy. Yeah. That's amazing though. So what, in your opinion, let's say top 3 books you think someone should read? So if you're in a place where you need a change. Yeah. You're like, I don't know where to start, but I want to change. The Mountain Is You. Absolutely phenomenal book. Okay. Pretty much you're the mountain standing in your own way. Yeah. It'll break it all down. It'll break down friendships. It'll break down everything, and it'll really make you think. I would recommend reading it twice. Okay. Because the first time is going to be a lot to take in. Great. Second time you can kind of page skip and go to the meaningful stuff. Yeah. The next one, and it's super famous, would be How to Win Friends and Influence People. Ooh. So that one's super popular. That book's really old. How to win friends and influence people is going to teach you how to just be a better version of you and be organic, right? And attract what you want, right? And then Think Rich, Grow Rich is a great book.
Classic.
That's a classic.
Yeah.
If as you grow with your personality, you're automatically going to attract better jobs, better money, better people in your surroundings. So you kind of got to know how to attract the new wealth,
right?
So that you don't just go woo, and then you're back to square one. So you will learn a lot there. But those three I would highly recommend.
That's really, I love asking people that who are like, I call them readaholics, just because it's like, obviously everyone's had a different journey. So I like hearing the responses, but undoubtedly Think and Grow Rich, if it's an entrepreneur that I'm asking, that's always in there. Whether it's 1, 2, 3, 10, that book is like A1. If you haven't read it, you guys should read it. But I'm going to check out those other two. I was never a reader growing up ever. And I discovered Audible. So the last like year or two, I've finally found my niche of books that I like, which are self-help, because like you were saying, like I'll take things that I can now incorporate into my own life. So now I'm enjoying reading because I feel like it's helping me. I'm not just reading a story.
Yeah.
And now I do it through Audible as well. Same thing. Like if I have a commute, I'll play it. My friends will be like, you don't listen to music? I'm like, no, I'm being told how I'm worthy of life, Like it's empowering. By the time you get to your destination, you're like, okay, let's go. I'm good. It's more empowering than rap music with not
and
most
then you're
positive
jacked
things.
up.
100%.
Right? You read something and there's going to be something that's going to resonate.
100%.
You're so jacked up. The biggest thing that I think is important. So some readaholics, they'll read books, but there's no book that's going to change your life. You have to do it.
Oh, for
right?
sure. 100%.
So I'm huge on coaching.
Yeah.
I as an athlete, when I needed to get to the next level, I needed a coach to guide me, show me the safe way to do it, or I'm going to break my neck. Right.
100%.
If you're in any sport, you're in a hockey team, as you go up in levels, you're going to get a better coach. Right.
Sure.
So I do highly, highly recommend, if it's within your budget, a book's going to set a foundation. Mm-hmm. It's going to give you a few bricks of that house. That's like, okay, I know what I need to work towards, but the coach is going to keep you accountable and they're going to help you kind of build that up. Yeah. And they've done it with other people. Yeah. So they're able to kind of bring you right back to the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And that coach might even just be like a therapist or a life coach, right? To bounce ideas off of, right?
Yeah, for
sure. I remember when I was learning to speak with confidence, I hired a speech coach and a speaking in public coach. Yeah. So it's like, okay, am I projecting my voice? Am I standing tall? Am I being an authority in this conversation? Yeah. Because we could have this exact same conversation, these exact same words will come out of my mouth. But if I'm like this, and it's like, oh yeah, okay, but
it's
right,
true.
It's not believable,
no,
right?
100%.
You're like, oh, I don't agree with what they're saying.
No, for sure,
right?
for sure. Especially though, I find, and I tell people too, like, well, I don't know, I talk about one thing and I'm timid, and another thing, I talk about what I'm passionate about, I'm confident and I'm loud. I'm like, okay, so you have the ability to do it. Everybody does. Because if I ask you about probably, your kids or your family or your favorite sport or your hobby, you'll talk to me for 10 hours, your favorite sports team, your favorite athlete, whatever it is. And then if you talk about something you're not so confident about, that's when you start to like, okay, like da-da-da. I'm like, so now you have to find that gap. How do I take this and infuse it into this? Because you're not supposed to know everything. As human beings, we don't know everything. We could just try, right? So it's like, own it. Who cares? Like, even on the podcast, sometimes people mess up or I mess up and I'll be like, honestly, I was going to ask you something. I forgot what I was going to say. So I'll ask you the next question. Like, but people will respect you more if you just own it. Like, if you say it with confidence, they'll be like, okay, yeah, what's the next question? If I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, I forgot what I was going to ask you. Like, obviously, as a guest, they're going to be like, whoa, this girl's a little,
Yeah, yeah.
So, that's a massive point. And that's cool how, because when I see you speak now, obviously, I just met you recently.
Yeah.
It's like I was like, he's so confident when he talks. I would have never known, though, you took those steps to get there, especially knowing like you were an athlete and you were all these things. I'm like, for sure, this guy's just a confident guy, So I think it's nice and inspiring to people to understand that like you're not perfect, but you can always get help to fix those like quote unquote flaws or areas you feel you need that little boost from,
It's funny. A lot of people, and I see it in the real estate world, I get phone calls all the time and it's like, hey, I'm looking for an investment property. I got a little bit of dough. I really want to maximize my profits. Where should I buy?
Yeah.
And you start talking to them a little bit, and even friends of mine, they'll talk to me and they're like, hey man, I'm thinking of buying some stocks. You know, which ones would you recommend right now? And so a client calls me, I don't really know their position good enough,
Right.
but like my buddy, and I've known them forever, and they're like, hey dude, like, you know, how's these stocks working out for you? Should I buy them? And I'm like, dude, I know where you are in life. Go invest in you. Your return is going to be 10 times higher, your rate of return.
Yeah.
Like when you got a bunch of extra dough and you don't care, yeah, sure, throw it into some stock, right? But like, I know where you are in your company. I know your personality on Saturday. It's wicked. Your company doesn't know that. So if my friend, instead of throwing $5,000 into Tesla stock, threw $5,000 into himself, he'll make 50 grand a year more.
Yeah.
Maybe even 100 grand a year more, you know? So it's like, there's so much value for ourselves that there's something about not putting the work in, right? And I think that's why we have like an obesity problem. It's like, well, it's really hard to go to the gym every day and work out. But the thing is, you're seeing this like super skinny fit version of yourself. Yeah. That's the goal. That's the fun part. Yeah. Right? Like, man, I have an idea of where I want to be in 10 years. Yeah. And I'm almost like, man, I want that to be 30 years from now because building it is more enjoyable, right? So it's like, well, what am I going to do after that comes, right? Yeah. So, you know, enjoy the process. You want to lose weight. Why are you trying to do it in 30 days? Yeah, man, I'll do it in 5 years. Yeah. I'm going to do one sit-up today. Yeah. I've never done one before. I'm going to do one today. Yeah. And then next week, if that one sit-up felt good every day, I'll do 2. Yeah. Because you're changing something, right? Yeah. And it's like, okay, I'm going to not eat a chocolate bar every day. I'll have grapes on Wednesdays. Mm-hmm. That's going to shave off 0.3 of a pound, right? And it's going to be enjoyable. Yeah. And you're going to like the process. And that's the same with building your personality, building your mental health. I tried to heal myself really fast with mental health. It didn't work. Right. Then I just end up on medication. Yeah. Right? So then you're like, okay, well, that's gone. I don't want to be there. Yeah. So how am I going to do this? And it's a process. Yeah. You're rewiring your brain. You're rechanging everything. You're building somebody, right? Like you can't go to school to be a doctor in a month. No, I can't go on ChatGPT and say how to be a doctor, right?
100%.
So it takes years for a reason because you need to learn it. Right. Right? And you need to know it. So it's the same with like your weight, with your mental health, with building a brand or a company or whatever it is. There's going to be a little bit everywhere, right? Yeah. I even learned from you. You had told me today, right here, you were like, you know, tell more of your story on social media. Yeah. And it's like, oh man, you know, hey, thank you for that. You're right. You know, I'm trying to put all this stuff with real estate, but I'm also forgetting to share the story that's going to help people choose their right path in real estate, right? It's like, here, buy this home. Oh, that's great. Why? You know, well, if you had this life with that home, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I learned something from you. And if you're learning every day, you're just building. I like to call it, I'm a huge Avengers fan.
Okay.
So like our Wi-Fi at home is Avengers fam.
No way. I love that. Who's your favorite Avenger?
Iron Man.
All right, Iron Man. Of course. Yeah. Tony Stark.
And then the reason he was my therapist through my mental health journey. Yeah. It was like, he goes, give me something you love. And I'm like, Avengers, as a joke. Yeah. And he goes, who's your favorite Avenger? And I'm like, Iron Man. He goes, why? And I go, because he's cool. Yeah. He goes, okay, let's dissect Iron Man. And then he goes, so he knew Avengers. Yeah. And he goes, when Iron Man's becoming Iron Man, right? So he's Tony Stark, he's this confident dude, and then he's becoming Iron Man. What's happening right there? He stands there and does what? Yeah. And then his pieces come on. Right. So then my therapist said to me, and we took this big pause. And he goes, why don't you build Iron Man? And he goes, every time you put your arm out, there's one new piece to your puzzle. And he goes, and then at your funeral, he goes, why don't you die with Iron Man's mask on? And I was like, yo, like, I will do that. And my whole life, whether I have 50 years, 20 years, 5 years, 10 years, whatever I got left, I'm adding one more piece of armor. And it's funny, my wife, you know, she rocks. Yeah. She's like, what armor are you putting on today, honey? You know, and it's like a joke because I'm building something every day. And so Iron Man, I'll hold it true because every day I'm building Iron Man, right?
I love that. That's so cool. See, this is why therapists are clutch because they you probably would have never thought of that. Now he told you it. And now that's like, And that's also like an inner child. Did you like Avengers growing up?
Yeah.
Yeah, see? It's like people forget to like your inner child, you got to soothe it because that also it's in you and you acknowledge it and that's what keeps you going, you know? Like that little you that's happy, just look, you're still smiling.
Yeah,
Like
oh yeah, I'm like
it
lit.
keeps
I'm
you
like,
smiling.
yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying. That's so cool. What would you say if you had to give someone a piece of advice based off all your success when it came to your businesses? What would you tell them? Like if I said to you, Mark, you're so successful, you have all these businesses, you flip them. Like how did you do it? Like what's the secret sauce?
So the best thing, you got to know your business.
Yeah.
You have to know your business, and then you have to pay attention to the business.
Yeah.
I hire a lot,
Yeah.
and I always have, and I would risk myself hiring. So I would actually, there was times where I had a less paycheck than the person I was hiring,
Right.
because I'm good at one thing.
Yeah.
Right. I can talk and I have a certain thing about me, but I'm not a process driven person.
Gotcha.
So if you want to build a company, especially if you want to sell one, you have to have systems. That's the only way that a company's sellable.
Right.
You have to have a CRM system, a database, and you have to have a system that the company runs, or there's no value there.
Right.
I'm going to sell it to you, and how does it run? You're going to
Yeah.
go, okay, I need
Okay,
you.
thanks, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And now I'm stuck in the business for 10 years. Right? Well, you systemize it.
Yeah.
So systemize, right? Process everything. Learn that business. And then hire for the things you don't enjoy, right? If hire for somebody to create the back end systems for it. Figure everything out. Okay, this gets done, then what happens? I'm holding an event, or I'm doing this, or I'm having a charity, or whatever you're doing. Make that form so next year you're not like, oh, what did we do last year? And you're running around with your head cut off. It's like, oh no, I go here, especially with Google Docs.
Right.
It's amazing.
I love Google Docs.
I used to have binders. So you'd flip through, and like we didn't have any of that, right? You'd have
Yeah.
like Excel, but it wasn't as organized.
Oh, I
as
thought you meant a
this.
binder in Google Doc. I was like,
No,
wait,
no,
what?
a binder,
actual
like hard
binder.
copy,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
we would flip through it, and everything's process and systems driven.
Yeah.
And that's a game changer in our real estate business, big time, because you're offering the same experience always.
Right.
So don't try to diversify so fast.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Everybody's like, I want to do everything because I want to maximize my profits. Get really damn good at one thing.
Yeah.
Really good at it. And then how do I offer the best client experience? Because your money comes from clients paying you in every aspect of life, right? There's a sales aspect to everything.
For sure.
So get really good at that client experience. Once you get really good at that client experience, then go to your clients and say, hey, if I could offer another service, what would that be? And then ask all of your clients. So if you have 500 clients, 100 clients, or 10,000 clients, and let's say you go to 500 of them and 300 say something pretty darn similar, now you know what your next product is.
Wow.
Right? Or the next road to take, or the next
Yeah.
avenue, or what's working and what's not.
Yeah.
And then hyper focus on that. I think what happens is businesses start to grow. People get excited and they go, oh yeah, one, they spend a lot of money when you still need to reinvest.
Yeah.
And then two, you don't even know what's working, right? There's something in there that's working. There's only one piece of it that's working, right? And everybody loves that one thing. So sometimes you're putting too much effort here. And if you're data driven and you actually know Google Analytics is a thing on a website, so why can't you have that in your business processes, right?
Ooh.
So then you build the next thing and the next thing, and then as you go, you literally track everything. That's not my job.
Yeah.
I'm not that analytical. I don't like it, so I'm going to hire somebody to do that, right?
Yeah.
And that person is going to be an introverted person. They love data. They love spreadsheets, and they thrive doing it, right? And they want to help you, and that makes them feel good. That's the person you hire.
For sure.
That's another thing. Another advice I'll give with a person in business is too many people try to hire themselves.
Yes.
All the time.
Yes. Yep. That's a
Right?
fact.
I like you.
Yeah.
I want to work with you. We're going to golf all the time. This is awesome. That's not going to get anything done at business, and you're just hiring yourself, right?
Yeah.
So hire who's not you, and then hire for as many things as you can so that you can just focus on that one thing that you're really good at.
Right.
And that's what's driving the business,
Yeah.
right?
That's facts. That last point of people trying to hire themselves, it's so true, because you always try to find someone that like you could vibe with or like you could hang out with, and it's like, okay, but wait, are they actually the best person for that job though? Probably not if they're similar to you and you're not doing that job. So yeah, that everything you said is nail on the head for sure. How important is it to have employees that believe in your business outside of a paycheck, like actually believe in your business and believe in you? Do you see a difference in the work ethic?
So I'm going to flip that a little bit.
Okay.
So I don't want my employees to believe in me.
Okay.
I want to know your story,
Uh,
and I want to help you achieve it.
yeah.
And my company is going to help you get that life.
Yeah.
So when I do an interview process, I always ask write down some goals that you have.
Yeah.
And if they look at a blank piece of paper or say, I need some time to think about it, they're automatically not the person I'm going to hire right away. So I want you to just write down a few goals you have. I don't care if they're crazy. If you want a $50 million mansion, I just want to see something on that piece of paper.
Yeah.
Right. And then I'm actually going to have a conversation about it with you.
Yeah.
So if, I just hired somebody recently, and I hired a full-time marketing manager.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, they're creative. They need to be this. I need to learn a little bit about them. Write down your goals. And it was like, oh, I want to explore these few places in the US. I would love to, get an RV camper, and I want to drive to these places. On that paper was, they keep me creative. I love being around water. It makes me just light up and glow. And I'm like, okay, I need this person around water and nature to do their best job for me. Right?
Yeah.
So then it's like, okay, how can I get you there? How can I make your job remote enough that I can get you where you are going to thrive and then do better for me?
Yeah.
And she's like, that's a thing. And I'm like, yeah.
Everything's possible.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, so how can we put portions of your job remote enough that like, how much time do you want to spend in nature? And she's like, oh my God, if I could go for a month. And I'm like, yeah, I think we can make that work. Like, how are we going to do that?
Yeah.
And I'll pay you.
Yeah.
But I need work done. So how are we going to do this?
Yeah.
And then we actually came up with a game plan
Yeah.
to get her where she needs to be. I literally talked to her yesterday, and she was like, I can't believe I work for a company like this.
That's so cool.
So she came from another industry, 15 years experience.
Yeah.
And she's like, I didn't know that employees could be treated like this or have this kind of life, right?
Yeah.
So they'll believe in your mission when you start helping theirs.
Yeah.
Right? And then they want to help your mission because that keeps theirs.
Yeah. And that's, I think, a massive key success factor. I had another guy on previously, and he brought that up to me too. He goes, I ask each of my employees, what are your goals? And that was the first time I'd ever heard of that concept. Because even coming from corporate, I was like, they didn't ask me what my goals were. They told me, these are your goals. You need to achieve these goals. And I was like, okay, screw you. Like, that's not happening.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting now. You're the second person I've heard say this. And it shows, because you're both very successful people with very successful companies. So take that away if you're an entrepreneur and you're hiring. Give a shit about your employees and their lives and what they're trying to achieve. And Mark, for you, last question to wrap this up. What's one piece of advice you'd give your 16-year-old self?
Honestly, that's pretty easy.
Okay.
I do say it to my 14-year-old son all the time.
All right.
So might be a little different than most.
Okay.
I say that you should be kind to everyone, and don't follow the pack. Do things, try things, be adventurous, smile every day, and if you can live the life that fulfills you, it's going to allow you to find your why, right? Don't be told what your why is, find it. And when you can find your why, you can create a purpose. When you have purpose, if it's strong enough, you can overcome absolutely anything and achieve whatever your wildest imagination wants.
Yeah. That's a mic drop. I have nothing to say after that. That you nailed that one. Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, thank you for sharing. Guys, thank you. If you lasted this long, love you. So much love for you. Like, subscribe, share. I'm going to put all his social media handles in all the description of all the bios. Reach out to him. He's a very open guy. Obviously, will be more than willing to have a conversation with you. If you're in any space or, even mentally where he used to be or close to it, he's the guy to go to. I'm sure he can help you, even if it's just a little bit, to give you that extra boost of positivity to get you out of where you're in. Mark, thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much.
And catch you on the next episode.